welcome back to Revamp. It's been a little while since we put something out on the 1-tonner. Last thing I think you saw was the engine at the engine dyno. As you can see, the engine is in. In this video we're going to bring you a bit of footage on that and fitting a few other bits and pieces. Ultimately we're aiming to get our major components in so that we can start wiring the car and also finishing the plumbing for the car. So we're going to run you through some of the footage of fitting all these things, engine, gearbox, doing some fuel tank, some of the accessories at the back like battery, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to start going through where you would start in wiring up a car like this from scratch basically. So let's get into it. Alright, we're back with the 1-tonner guys. We've had a bit of a break from that, working on the VX. We've also had some COVID lockdown issues here. So let's check out what we've been up to, just getting it ready to put the engine in. Redoing it. Okay. The boys are here just cleaning up the slip joints for the collectors, for the extractors. It's a bit of leftover burnt vinyl from the powder coating process. Yep. We've got a nice high temp black finish, muffler finish on the extractors. That's good for plenty of temperature for what we need it for.
680 degrees it's
Celsius, which is 1200-ish Fahrenheit, somewhere around that.
Somewhere around there, yep.
So, yep. Rossi's at it as well. Got the rest of the pipes here. I've clearanced and glued the adapter plates onto the heads, getting it ready. We've got our engine mounts, we've done a small spacer, that's just for a bit of sump clearance. Gearbox is on. Got our Dominator converter, heavy duty flex plate. Alright, she's dropped in. We're going to put the gearbox cross member in. We may need to lift the engine up again to get the extractor in on this side, one section of it. But it's looking good. We still need to level the whole thing out properly. But the spaces look like they might have done the trick with the sump. Plenty of clearance at the front of the sump there. These lines will still need a slight massage, but not as much as they did before.
Yeah, Tope, we managed to get...
Oh, you can actually get it in now?
While it's still sitting a bit higher. Is that the level it's going to sit at?
That's where it's sitting.
Well, we can get it in. I got it in. We've had to take off the starter motor to get it in, but there's enough space to put the starter motor back on now that it's in. So
that's brilliant.
So yes, that'll...
Because before we couldn't get that pipe in there at all.
Yeah, that's right. So that'll sit... It actually seems to... Is that flush on there now? Yeah. So that'll sit pretty much like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Plenty of space between the cross member and the exhaust as well. And plenty of space for the starter motor as well to go in. So
good stuff.
We might throw a few bolts in that. And
I'm going to grab Rossi and get this cross member in the back so that we can... So the gearbox is just sitting on it. And then we can go from there.
Perfect.
Everything's perfect here.
Everything's perfect here. And we can lower this down and sit it on the actual cross member and see how she... Oh, looks like she sits in place well.
Yep.
No. Now, how's our gap of power steering lines that we've got since we've put those new spacers in? Oh, mate, look, they're not even touching it.
Yeah. What I actually want to move on to now, since it looks like those extractors are going to fit. Jimmy's phone rings.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, filming faux pas. We actually had a problem with the low mount alternator fitting with the power steering rack. Because we've got the electric pump, we have to run a short water pump style alternator bracket because we've got the pulleys on the back of the blower pulley here. So the one that we actually had didn't fit, it hung too low, which we're a little bit surprised at. So since we've got this spacer in, I'm going to check it, see if that one will work. If not, we've got to sort of figure out if we have to fabricate something or if we have to make a different style one work. So it's probably what we're going to move on to next, since we know that the pipes are going to fit. Just so if we need to order something, we can get something ordered. Indication where we think the bonnet might sit, Jimmy?
Well, sitting here...
Oh, nice.
Sitting here on the angle that it's on, we'll probably get...
I think
around the B, under the B here, under the blower shop.
You mean...
Probably halfway between...
We might be around the TBS, the total bullshit mark.
Yeah, I'll be around the bullshit mark, I'd say. So, yep, there was no way I was fitting that under the bonnet.
No.
Surely you knew that, though.
Yeah, we knew that.
Hey, did you get those fuel lines somehow through the body?
No.
Oh, no, they're just wrapped around and stuck in the hole, are they? Okay. Alright,
Alright. Test fit this alternator bracket. We did have clearance issues before, like I was saying. How we had clearance issues before. That looks a lot higher.
Yeah, especially from a, what do we have, a 4mm spacer?
Yeah. I think that space has brought it up a lot more than what you think.
Yeah, so we got a couple of 4mm spacers made up just to lift it slightly because the alternator and the power steering lines both touched. So
I think that's going to be fine now.
There's plenty of room under there, that's plenty of room. And just move the power steering lines, they're only just slightly kissing it, see, so there's nothing to it.
These are going to just massage down a bit.
There you go, they're actually off the engine now.
Yeah.
So it looks like those spacers did the trick.
Yeah.
So we can take them off and powder coat them black. But it looks like it's all going to fit. Happy days.
Stuff. Well, let's be honest, always a nerve-wracking moment chopping into something that's finished, painted or powder coated, and it's shiny, and now I've got to chop it up. Right, now we'll clean these up. We need to make a new support frame in the top here for the fuel tank to sit up against. The straps underneath it will hold the tank in. and yeah, it'll just butt up against the frame. Basically 2 bars that run across the width of the chassis in the right location. So get that cleaned up and start measuring up for some new bars, get the fuel tank positioned. That way we can finish off our fuel system. That's a good example of if you haven't got the material on hand that you need, or you're getting somebody else to make it for you out of the material that you can't handle. Use something that's easy to work with, like timber, make a pattern, and you can also get to test out your idea on how you're going to make it, if it's going to work, without expensive materials and long fabrication times. So quite often, bit of timber, make yourself up a nice little pattern or template, and double check that your idea is going to work. We'll get some material tomorrow or the day after, make that up, and then we'll have a nice aluminium block there. We can trim it down. We'll trim that down to the same thickness. The whole thing is you can experiment, see what works, what doesn't work, and that way you get the best result in the end, and you haven't gone through a lot of money and materials. We're back a couple of days later, got our aluminium brackets that were made from the wood templates. We've modified the filter bracket, trimmed the end off, and they've been recoated in black, match everything else. So now we'll get it together. Test fit the location for the fixed fitting here, then we'll clamp all this down and we'll make the line up that goes to the pump. The filter and the feed for the fuel pump is all done now. On the front of the tank there. Got the rest of the fuel lines to do up to the main filter from the pump outlet. but so far it's looking good. We've got to sort out where the straps for the tank are going to go next as well. Get that tank mounted up and in its final position. So, moving on more with that mounting and knowing the location of things, we've started to position our Holly EFI dash. Obviously not a real straightforward thing because it's a little bit personal where everyone likes it, and also best functionality. That's going to have quite a bit of wiring. There's some mounting of sensors and various other sensors that we'll get into as well. We've got our ignition system down here, built. That's made a custom plate that's going to sit under the custom console. So that's just about keeping all your ignition components all together, you know, and keeping it in just a central location. If you want those kind of things, if you want to mount things in the engine bay like that, fine, no problem. This is where we have decided just to keep the engine bay clean. And these are the decisions that you've got to sort of make at this period of the time of the build. Wiring is one of the biggest parts. So I'm going to try and bring you some videos that might help you along with some bits of wiring through the next month or 2 months or something like that. Look, if you've got some questions about wiring this type of thing from scratch that you've always wanted to find out or always wanted to ask someone, drop it in the comments. Like, I'll answer questions in the comments, no problems. You know, these carby cars, they're simple, but as soon as we start putting things like these dashes in, they do start to get a little more complicated. Nothing crazy like modern EFI cars. And when I say modern EFI cars, I mean, you know, really modern cars, and we're not even going to get into electric cars. But yeah, so again, like you'll keep hearing me say, knowing where stuff's going to go is one of your first most important steps, and we can go from there with routing and different types of routing and different styles of doing it, that kind of thing. So yeah, and drop a comment if you've got anything to ask. myself a bit of the task of putting the battery, the electric power steering pump and the trans cooler at the back behind the cab on the 1-tonner. There's a little bit of footage there of me making some of it. I'll just run you through it right now. So we've got our Optima battery mounted over here. Power steering pump. You can actually get the power steering pump out with all the bracketry in there, and you can get the battery in and out as well. With the tray on it, obviously it's not going to be easy to put oil in it and to change the battery, etc. if we have to, but it's not going to be impossible either, so we'll just have to do it from underneath. Got a bit of room left back here for a circuit breaker and possibly a small main fuse box. And of course we're not running the standard fuel tank, so that's allowed us this space here. Got the trans cooler with fan mounted over here. The whole thing mounted off cross brace did here. These are actually some factory holes here, so we can still run our factory tray mounts, although that driver's side one has been shortened down a bit. So all in all, looks pretty good. It's pretty strong and should do the job nicely for us. Wiring up a car, it's a little bit daunting for a lot of people. I usually like to take it in a few steps. Obviously, you're probably going to hear me say it through a lot of bits of footage here. Probably one of the most important things is either having all your components mounted, like we've built this frame here that houses the battery, the power steering. We've also got our transmission cooler over there that has a fan on it, so that's going to come into electrical as well. And then, back here further, we've got our fuel tank, and obviously that's going to have a fuel level sender in it, and obviously a fuel pump. And then, obviously towards the back of the car, we've got lights and things like that. Now, like I said, getting things mounted, or at least knowing where they're going to be mounted. As we go around the car, you'll see a few things that have been mounted or are very roughly mounted. So that one can probably go fuel when we put the fuel pressure reg in.
Yep. So closest one to the driver is the fuel pressure reg. Second one would be oil pressure reg, I'm guessing.
Oil pressure. Oil pressure.
Oh, sorry.
reg.
Oil
pressure sender.
Pressure sender.
Well, actually,
I like oil pressure reg. It sounds cool.
Oil gallery. So it'll go like that. So
yep.
There's no really nasty tight bend there. This one.
This is the boost.
Is going to. I'll just take that out for now.
It's gonna go.
Don't drop anything down that hole.
See if I can get my camera in there. It's a bit tight.
Ooh, it's tight to that stud.
But it looks neat. Very neat.
Yep. I'll just grab the fuel pressure reg and show you how it goes.
See if we can look down there from above, but yeah, they're pretty neat.
Whatever you do, don't drop anything down that hole.
No, I don't want to drop anything down. Yeah. Otherwise, someone will be pulling the blower and the manifold off.
Blower and manifold off?
And probably the manifold.
Mate.
Well, it's in there nice and neat.
You'll be pulling the engine part.
And we've put it on the back wall, so you won't really see it. And the boost one, the little nozzle that's there on the, if you can see it, that'll go back.
This fitting here, that goes inside to the MSD map sensor.
Yeah, it'll go inside, and the MSD map sensor will be up under there, so it'll be sat inside the console that we make. So nice and neat.
Yeah, look, this is all, in the grand scheme of things, we need all these things mounted, or at least in the rough position, so we can start getting the wiring in the car so we can get it fired up.
Yep, exactly.
If we don't have anything, at least in a rough location of where it's going to be, how do we know where to put the wiring, basically?
Yeah, that's right.
You know,
You got to mock it up beforehand so you know exactly where everything goes and how it fits. So that's really nice back there.
Yeah.
It sits in nice. It's against the firewall, really tight.
This is our fuel pressure rag. Sits in here like this.
it'll all be very tight in the back here, but what it will do is it'll make the engine bay a lot cleaner because it's all around the engine. So that's our fuel pressure reg there. And
Yeah, that's nice. It's nice. It doesn't sit up too high.
this one,
It doesn't touch the dizzy.
this one will, well, I might need to swap these around maybe, but,
The longer one.
oh no, this is the longer one.
There it is. Got enough space on it? Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that'll be
It'll
right.
tuck around the
That'll-
dizzy.
Yeah, look, that'll tie onto there.
Yep.
And yeah, so,
Stainless steel braid, nice and strong.
and then the dizzy goes in there, and we've got fuel lines ready to connect up here, and we're well on the way then to getting it started, which is going to be pretty rowdy, I reckon.
Just something we want.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got rid of a bit of that noise, so we can hear what's going on. So we've got the Phoenix radiator. We literally ordered this thing yesterday, so it's come really, really fast. This is all part of the electrical plan. Obviously, fans have got to be wired in. We've gone with the upgrade for the spiral fans. Look, I've used these before. They are the go-to high quality fan. When it comes to fans, these are pretty much basically almost the best, or are the best, to be honest. This is a radiator to suit the Chev in the HQ. It's got twin 1-inch cores. Comes with the micro 16 psi cap. Hopefully that's enough. Should be. Comes with some hardware and stuff to fit the fan shrouds and that. I've just got it sitting on there loosely at the moment. But yeah, these are a local Sydney piece as well. They fabricate a lot of the stuff for them. No mounting holes drilled in the sides, so we can mount the radiator at whatever height we need. So I think it's going to be a great addition to the ute. Hopefully keep it nice and cool. I know these fans do use a lot of power and pump a lot of air, but in all the wiring we'll get into the power usage of these fans as well. So another piece of the puzzle arrived, so we can look at mounting them, getting them in location for all our electrical stuff. Here you can see I've laid out the wiring for the Holly dash. You can see I've laid it out in its full length. To get one, to get an idea of the length of it. Two, to just to sort of start to make a plan. So being on cardboard, I can literally just write on the cardboard some rough notes. So I know that this plug here goes directly into the dash. And then these wires down here, if I follow them down, I know by looking in the instructions, these are the CAN connectors. Next I've got this harness over here, loose harness. This is mostly, I know at least 3 of these wires are power wires. So at a good guess I can be pretty sure that this is my power and earth harness. Down the center here, it does come with some pre-terminated sensors. Now, if we look down the end, we can actually see they do have some labels on them. See there, it says mat. This one says pressure. This one says coolant temperature sensor. This one says oil. So, it's pretty fair to say that that's oil pressure. That's coolant temperature. Coolant temp. Now the pressure, it's labelled pressure. It says that's reserved for fuel pressure. And mat is obviously manifold air temp. So that gives you some idea of the advantages of laying a harness out like this. You know, we do have these 2 loose harnesses here. I still have to look up exactly what they're for. Pretty sure this one's mostly for sensors. But yeah, let's say just an example, I can split these up, and let's say, you know, 2 or 3 of these are for trans temp. Write that down. We can stick that down there like that. Write it there, stick that down like that, and you know, then when I come to work out my lengths and everything, I know those ones are for trans temp. Now, I'm not sure that they're for trans temp, so we'll leave that for now. But that's an example of how you can work these loose harnesses. So one of the first things I like to do is just sort of go through any electricals that I've got. And, you know, like you can see here, we've made up some harnesses for things before, and then we've either changed it or we've decided, well, we're not using that, or we'll do it differently or something like that. So we've got some little harnesses that we've made up. Grab them out. They were made with new wire. Might find a spot to use them. Yeah, we've got some new wire here. Grab out what rolls you have. We haven't got much there at the moment. Things that you're going to fit, like we're going to put electric windows in this car. These are individual power posts that there'll be some locations that we use these for. So each post is individual to each other. These are what they call a MIDI fuse. They look like that. Much better for passing constant high current loads. You know, your general connectors, that kind of thing. Some heat shrinks. So that, you know, that's some of the general things I like to just see what I've got in stock that I can use. Then we move on to some of our accessories. Like you see up here, we've got our MSD and coil on a mounting plate. That's got to be fixed to the car yet, but we're running that inside the car. Well, obviously there's a lot of wiring associated with that. So, you know, they come with all the instructions. Yeah, that's one thing you want to get together. You want to get together your instructions for your various items. They usually come with wiring diagrams, or they come with links to download. So this is our MSD wiring. Then we move on to the dash, which you saw we've just dummy fitted in the dash there at the moment. At least we know the location. So we get out the wiring for that, our sensors. You can see this is our temperature sensor. That's obviously got its associated paperwork. You want to hold on to that. And then you want to get everything out and just have a look what you've got. Make sure everything's there. Go through it. You know, your shifter, although only very simple in its wiring, you know, it still has a little micro switch set up in it. I think they might actually be mounted inside it. And that's for reverse and your neutral park lockout things. We have a box full of all the associated paperworks for starter motors, alternators, all that, fuel pumps, all that kind of stuff. And then what we also have here is we have an easy wire kit. Now, depending on the level of the wiring system you're going to be doing, sometimes these are near on all you need. They often have some little additions and stuff with them. They come with various wiring diagrams as well. You can see here we've got GM diagrams, easy front section, that kind of thing. So sometimes they can be useful, sometimes you don't need them if you're going for something that's very, very custom. A lot of the components that you're using are beyond just some of these easy wire setups, or you might use that in addition with a lot of the other things. Then your battery cable, I actually use a welding cable. It's double insulated. I then use a fire sleeve where the temperature gets hot. I use this because it's built to a higher standard than normal automotive cable. This one's rated at, where's the rating here somewhere? This one's rated at 50 millimeters squared, or square millimeters, and I believe that was around don't quote me, but I think that was in excess of 350 amps you can put through that cable. And look, it's nice and flexy. It's very easy to work with. Obviously, the orange elephant in the room is the fact that it's orange. So, but you know, you're going to put a covering on it anyway. And for a better quality cable, particularly when you're running batteries in the boot, that's what you want to go for. So I'll just run around the car quickly, show you some of the other things that we've got to think about when wiring. So obviously at the back here, you've already seen that we've put the power steering pump and the battery at the back. Those power steering pumps take a lot of current. I believe they have to run a 70 or 80 amp fuse. So what I'm also looking at is dumbing up there is a little fuse and relay pad with a main circuit breaker. So main circuit breaker, 250, 300 amps with the larger size posts. You'll see a lot with small posts. You physically don't have the clamping area for that sort of high amperage. And obviously our fan over there, and then you already saw our fuel pump and our fuel sender there. So moving up the front, we're going to have our Phoenix radiator. It's got the twin spiral fans on it. I think we've got a little video of the unboxing of that. So moving along, we have electric water pump, alternator out in front of the engine, and then you can see hiding in here is that's our temperature sender for the Holly dash. And moving back here, you might have already seen in another video, we've got our pressure transducers for the Holly dash as well, and you can also see the distributor there, which needs to be connected to the coil by high tension lead, and also by the magnetic pickup. Moving along, tucked down in there, you can see him down in there, you've got our starter motor. Now, because it's tucked away right in with the exhaust, we've done a little heat wrap treatment around the solenoid and the actual motor, just with some high quality exhaust wrap that you can use on your extractors. So that's just to give the motor a little bit of protection against the heat while it's tucked away down in there. Okay, so yeah. So there you go, there's a few of the starting points that I look towards. It's can be daunting, but you know, if you take your time, use wiring diagrams and stuff like that, be mindful of heat areas and other things like that, so, and rub areas. It's not the end of the world to try and wire a car up. Yeah, there are some little things which you can look everything up online realistically. So, you know, I'm going to start mounting a couple of things now. I'll show you those, and I'm still really in the mounting phase of things. So from here, we'll start to look at the wiring and all that kind of stuff, how to run it, how to secure it, how to insulate it, and hopefully you get a lot of little tips out of this. And yeah, here we go. Let's get to the wiring.
So you saw we've already put the sensors down on the front of the firewall, and we just checked to make sure the spacing back there for the distributor actually fits well, and the fuel regulator. So the engine's in. It sits nicely. We've got to adjust a few of the power steering lines under here. They're just touching the bottom of the sump. Not really, but just. So we'll move them a bit. We've got the extractors on, which fit fantastic. So, starting to look really good. Starting to come together slowly. And Toby's just doing all the wiring, or starting to do all the wiring. So, hopefully it moves along pretty quick from now. I'm very keen to drive it. He's also mounted the drop tank in. He's probably got it about the right height. I think it actually looks like it's in the right position. It's not too high, not too low. And he's got the bracket he made with the battery, the power steering, and the transcooler in. So very happy with that, how that came out. Okay guys, so there's a rundown of everything that we've done to the HQ over the last few weeks. It's been a bit slow because of the COVID, and the deliveries have been slow also, so we've worked with what we've got. Tommy's managed to get all the wiring set out and most of the stuff that needs to be wired in place, so he knows where he's going to run everything. We've also got most of the parts that we need here, so that's pretty lucky that we're able to continue working on it while we had this delivery problem. So we're coming up on 1,000 subscribers, which is a big milestone for us. So thanks everybody that subscribed. If you haven't already subscribed, please go do so. Helps the channel out, helps get our videos out there. Hopefully somebody out there watching gets some information that they needed off our videos on how to do things or what things they need to buy. So thanks for that. If you haven't already seen the progress of the one-tonner, I'll put a little link up in the top corner so you can go back and have a look at all the videos. We've also got other videos on the HQ sedan we've done, the VX that we're doing, and we also bought a Chev, a 1953 Chev Ute truck, which should be here in about a week or two. So that's something else we'll be starting to do some work on. And thanks for all the messages. We appreciate the feedback. If you want to find out anything or you want to ask any questions, leave us a comment and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And hopefully we'll get this car up and running very soon. So thanks again, we'll see you next time on Revamp.